Now comes the interesting part. What happens if I've got 2 digits and I have to multiply it with 2 digits? Okay, so I'm going to help you with the first one to know what the size and the blocks look like. So we're going to make it 2 blocks to the right hand side, or 2 squares. Okay, you can fast forward if you want to, you can stop, or you can rewind. This is one of the nice options of this video, is you can even mute the teacher, or you can pause the teacher. One of the opportunities you always want to have. Now is the time to do that. Okay, you'll see that I started with a big square, then I divided them into quarters, and then every quarter I did the diagonal lines again. So you'll see that when I write these numbers, I'm going to write it the same way as I did with the previous ones, so the 4 and the 2, and then on the right hand side I'm going to write the 1 and the 3. Okay, just make sure that you write these ones at the right places. So the 4 and the 2 will be at the top, the 4 and the 2, and then going down I'm going to start with the 1 and the 3. Now I'm going to do exactly the same with as the previous one. Where the two numbers meet, or the blocks where they meet each other, that is where you're going to write the answer. So you're going to say 2 times 1 is going to be 2, and then fill it up with a 0. Same thing with this one. 4 times the 1 is going to be 4. I don't have a tenth there, so I'm just going to fill it up with a 0. Now 2 times 3 is going to be 6. Fill it up with a 0. And then 3 times 4 is going to be 12. And I write them the same way as I did. Now exactly the same way as I did with the other one with the diagonals, I'm going to make them longer. Extend them so that I can add the ones that's in the same diagonals. Okay, so here I'm going to write there. You can use a piece of paper if you get confused. So it's going to be 6 is the only one, so I'm going to write the 6 there. In the next diagonal I've got a 2, a 0 and a 2, so I'm going to add all the digits that's inside this diagonal. So it's going to be 2 plus 0 plus 2, and that's going to give me an answer of 4. Moving on to the next diagonal, a 1, a 4 and a 0, and that's going to be a 5. And then the last one is a 0, just to make the whole thing complete. And then if you multiply them, the 42 times the 30, you will get to an answer of 546. Okay, you can check this again. If you want to rewind, you can go back and look at the places that I wrote the answers. Also, using the colors, it's supposed to help you not to get the numbers confused, because there's a lot of numbers here now. Okay, let's go on to the next one. There I've got 36 times 52, and a lot of things that's a problem with the multiplication is that as soon as we start doing 2 digits with 2 digits, there's supposed to be a 0 there, and we tend to forget that one. And with this method, it sorts out that problem with forgetting about the 0 or where to put the 0. Okay, let's have a look and see what answer will we get here. So I'm going to write the 36 and the 52. Okay, just going to cover up this one so that we don't get confused. Okay, now doing the same thing with the multiplication. You can start anyway. let's start at the bottom and on the right hand side. So the 6 times the 2 is going to be 12. The 5 times the 6 is going to be 30. Okay, then the 5 and the 3, or the 3 times the 5 is going to be 15. And then the 2 times the 3 is going to be 6, but remember I need to fill up the gap. Okay, now I'm going to do the diagonals. Okay, now we add everything that's in the diagonals. So we're going to do the 2. Then we look at the next one. 6 plus 1 plus 0. So that's going to be 7. And then the 5 and the 0 and the 3, that will give me an 8. And then the last diagonal is a 1. So now if I write it there at the bottom, it's going to be 1872. You think you'll be able to do the next one on your own? Let's see what happens with this one. What if I carry over again? What is going to happen? So let's write this one. And if you think you understand these sums and you want to try it on your own, you don't need to follow me, or you don't need to do exactly like I do. You can try it on your own and then push the play button again, and then you can see if you have the right answers. Okay, remember these ones must be at the right place. The 5 and the 4, and then the 3 and the 2. So let's see what happens there. 4 times the 3 is going to be 12. The 3 times the 5 is going to be 15. And then the 4 times the 2 is 8. Fill up a 0. And then the 2 times the 5 is going to be 10. And a 1. Okay. See diagonals. So 8, 2 plus a 0 and a 0 is a 2, 5, a 6 and a 1 is a 7, and then a 1. Okay, so my answer there will be 1728. Okay, let's see. Let's try the last one together. Let's write the 2 and the 9. And remember, when you mark your answers, check where you went wrong. Was it inside the block? That means your timetables is a problem. You can use the paper with your timetables on, your paper calculator, and then if you see your answer at the end of the diagonals is wrong, then it means your adding might be wrong, or when you carry over, it might be a problem. Okay, let's have a look at this one. The 5 or the 6 times a 9 is 54. 6 times the 2 is 12. Okay, the 7 times the 9 is going to be 63. And then the 7 times the 2 is going to be 14. Okay, let's see if we have to carry over, or is it going to stay like that? And if we carry over, what is going to happen? Where do we have to carry over to? Okay, let's extend these lines again. Okay, let's have a look. Okay, that one is going to be a 3. Okay, with the next diagonal, can you see what happens? There's a 4, a 6 and a 4. 4 plus the 6 is already 10, and I add the 4, so it's going to be 14. The units will be there, but now remember there's only space for one number, so I'm going to carry it over to the next diagonal. Now I can add these ones again, but remember the one that I carried over I must still add. So I'm going to start at the biggest number, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. So then my answer will be 9. And then if I look at the last diagonal, it's going to be Okay, so my answer for 29 times 67 is going to be 1943.